Welcome to Abun Dance. You guessed it, a podcast dedicated to all things surrounding dance. I am Kristen.
And I am Hannah, and we are two best friends who were brought together by this art form.
Please join us in 5, 6, 7, 8. Hey, Hannah.
Hey, Kristen. Welcome to our podcast, everyone. This is so exciting.
This is so exciting. I can't believe it's happening.
I know.
It is coming to fruition pretty quickly. Am I right?
It is. Some people might say that we are two peas in a pod, wouldn't you think?
Yes. Classic Hannah humor. Although I do really appreciate a pun and play on words. So.
And hopefully our people who will be hearing this can see our many puns throughout our episodes and notice them, because we have.
Oh, I think it's gonna be a wild ride.
Oh, yes, absolutely. All right, well, let's talk about how we met, right? Let's just get this going.
Yeah, let's let our viewers learn a little bit about ourselves.
Yeah, so Kristen and I started college at Mercyhurst University, located in Erie, PA, the summer of 2016. And our school does this really cool thing called Jumpstart. So I met Kristen before any of our other classmates came onto campus. It was very special to our dance department.
So to throw in how Hannah and I met specifically, we were having we have these progressive dinners and all kinds of events to basically get to know the upperclassmen and get to know the people in our specific dance class. And so one evening at a dinner, Hannah comes up to me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like you have curly hair too." So obviously you guys can't see us right now, but we both have very curly hair. So that was what she decided to be our kind of segue into the conversation we then had, and I guess the segue into our friendship.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I am a very goofy, outgoing person, for those of you who don't know me. So as Kristen just said, I literally went up to her and I was like, "Hey, we have the same hair." And literally ever since then, I think that's when our friendship kind of took off. So that was really at the beginning of our freshman year. And ever since, we've just had this really special bond that I don't think will ever be broken. Pretty sure this one's going to be at my wedding and I'm going to be at hers someday.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's already asked to be the godmother of my child.
Yeah. Listen, we go deep, folks. We go deep.
But yeah, we've been 4 wonderful years at Mercyhurst together, dancing all day long, hanging out when we weren't dancing. We ended up living together for 3 of the 4 years with some of our other friends in apartments on campus. We ended up eventually becoming roommates by senior year. We got to study abroad and travel to Ireland together. That was a blast. Also shared a room there. It was a fun time.
Yeah, that's funny. We could have our own rooms, but Kristen and I decided to share one room just because we love each other so much, and we thought that would be so much fun because we weren't roommates at that point. And then we continued our roommate bond, I guess you could say, our senior year as well, before we had to come home for the pandemic. So it's been really fun.
Yeah, we even got to spend one summer together in New York City for a couple of weeks with a few of our other friends. We did the ABT Collegiate Summer Intensives. That was really fun too. That actually was the first time we were roommates. Wow.
Yeah.
I said we were first roommates senior year. Turns out we were junior year as well when we were in Ireland, and sophomore summer ABT.
See, we're inseparable, truly. It was totally meant to be a special friendship for sure. Yeah, let's see. You want to talk about what we're up to now?
Yeah, I think we should. A lot has gone down since graduation, I feel like.
Graduation, something.
Yes, we didn't actually get to have an actual graduation, but we are done.
We have our degrees.
We have our degrees, so that's a good thing. It's a start. But yeah, a lot has happened since then. I feel like time is really, really flying by, even in these strange times. So I kind of just spent the whole summer home, and home for me is Connecticut. I ended up becoming an online dance teacher actually during this time. So I teach on a little personal plug right here, outschool.com. I teach students from ages 4 to 18. I do a variety of classes. So I teach ballet, I teach variation classes, dance conditioning, I give private lessons. I do a college searching, applying, and navigation course, as well as how to sew and break and point shoes. I'm always kind of adding new offerings. So if you know anyone who might be interested, feel free to check me out, Kristen at outschool.com. But that really did take up a lot of my time. It kept me going with something that felt purposeful over the summer. It was my first official teaching on my own, so that was super exciting. I also was busy working as a PCA over the summer, so that was something new for me as well. And then I moved to New York City actually, so that's where I'm talking to you from right now. So I have my own apartment in the city with 2 other girls, and I am attending NYU right now for my master's in dance education with the ABT teaching certification. So it's actually the last week of classes right now. I'm not going to lie, I am pretty exhausted, but I'm excited to be here with you guys. So that kind of makes up for it and is helping me push through. But it's been a really, really enjoyable semester. I feel like I'm learning so much. The program is remote right now, so there's definitely some challenges that come with that, but it's going well. Yeah.
Yay, I'm so happy to hear that.
Some exciting news for us.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, Kristen is an outstanding human being and teacher. When we were in school together, we did a pedagogy course, and it was just so fun to take class from Kristen. So I highly recommend checking out Outschool because she is a good gal and she will get you going with some really cool.
I dragged her into a practice class for me about a month ago. I was getting ready to teach a class for my NYU cohort, and she pretended to be a lovely little student for me over Zoom. So much appreciated.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, anyway, all right. Well, should I talk about me next? I guess it's my turn.
It is.
Yeah, so I graduated with Kristen, and unfortunately, due to the pandemic, our classes got cut short, and they were then put on Zoom for the rest of the semester. And that also meant that my auditions for dance companies got cut short as well. So prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, I was around the country auditioning for different dance companies. Unfortunately, I only did 3, just because it was a crazy semester, also trying to balance our second semester senior year, and then try to go into this professional world during school. It was tough, and then we had this new challenge of the pandemic, and we all had to go home. But I am really grateful for where I am. I think considering these times, I have kind of gone forward as best as I can. I made a connection in New York City with the Isadora Duncan Dance Company just before everything happened, and I recently just signed an apprenticeship contract, so I'm really excited about that. Yes, and yeah, so for right now, I'm doing a lot of Zoom classes with the company, and I'm hoping to move to the city in the next couple of months when things are safe and settled down. And I also just got a part-time job at J. Jill. It's a clothing store. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but they've got some really cute clothes. I would highly recommend checking it out. And then my goal is to hopefully transfer to the New York City store and continue to work at J. Jill. So I'm looking forward to that. I start on Friday, which is in a couple of days. So yeah, I'm also doing some dog sitting and babysitting and lots of dancing on Zoom. So that's just life. That's my life. I also did a 9-week program with the Jose Limon Dance Company that just ended a couple weeks ago, and that was really great too. Again, it was all on Zoom, so I'm trying to navigate what this new life is, but we're making do.
Gym fatigue is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Real thing, people.
Yeah, but we're doing it. We're pushing along, and honestly, I hope that all of you listening right now are also hanging in there, because this is a tough time. So make sure to be gentle on yourselves.
Yes.
That's all I want to say.
Self-care.
Self-care.
The understanding.
Yes, and we can only do the best that we can do. So.
Yeah, but honestly, Hannah, I think we're both doing pretty well, all things considering. I'm super excited for you this next chapter. It's going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
I hope you do make it out to the city before I leave the city.
No, okay, funny thing.
Our times do overlap for.
No, we so wanted our time to overlap prior to now, but unfortunately that has not happened. But yes, hopefully soon. I will be there when Kristen's there. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, let's get going. How did we start this podcast, Kristen?
Yeah, so like I said, this has all come into fruition pretty quickly, and I thank you for that, because Hannah knows me well. I sometimes kind of come up with these crazy ideas, and she just kind of went right along with this, and I greatly appreciate that. I
had a little giggle, but then I said, okay, I'm down.
I've kind of wanted to do a podcast for a bit now, I'm not going to lie, but a part of me has always been a little hesitant, a little scared, and also just, I've been busy. Let's be real. I've been really busy, and so taking on an extra project like this has not really been feasible up until recently. So I was driving home, actually.
Kristen is the queen of busy. Okay, this girl will do anything to keep herself busy.
Busy. That is so that way.
It's how she drives.
When I realized I'd be having more time on my hands, I suppose I jumped quickly to find something else to keep me busy. So perhaps this is part of what this podcast is for me, but I promise it's more than that. So I was actually driving home from the city to Connecticut for Thanksgiving. Safety precautions were taken and all, but I was just seeing my parents and my sister and her boyfriend for the holiday. And I was actually listening to a podcast on my drive home. I'll give a little shout out to them right now. Absolutely Starving by Carly and Annie. It's a delightful podcast. I actually was an RA with Carly a couple summers ago at CPYB, Central Pennsylvania Youth Ballet. And they started this podcast kind of at the start of the pandemic, and I had been wanting to listen to it for a while now. I was interested, but I just, like I said, haven't had the time. So I decided to start listening to it, and just hearing people that I actually know, or someone I actually know, I should say, doing what I wanted to do for quite some time now, just kind of pushed me and made me realize, hey, like, this is actually doable. Like, I don't have to be someone famous to have a podcast. Like, I can just be a normal person who wants to talk about dance and wants to have important conversations and, quite frankly, wants to talk with my best friend, make it into a podcast. So a couple days passed, and I got eager, and so I called Hannah on Thanksgiving night. I was like, hey, I have a proposal for you. I was like, just hear me out. And I was like, do you want to start a podcast with me? And like she said, she just, like, she kind of laughed for a second, but she's like, I mean, okay. And I was like, perfect. I was kind of hoping I wouldn't have to beg you. I didn't really think I would, but it was the perfect answer. And then the ball kind of just started rolling from there. I was like, all right, Han, we gotta come up with some ideas. Like, let's make a shared Google Doc. Like, we gotta talk logistics, and we did.
Yeah, and ever since then, we really have been taking a quick turn on everything. We're getting a lot of things ready to go for our first podcast, which is right now, which is super exciting.
Yeah, and I'm excited too. Like, I have a little bit more time now with the semester at NYU coming to a close, and so I'm looking forward to devoting some extra time to this. And we're just excited to dive into so many different topics surrounding dance. I mean, I personally, like, have fallen in love with the kind of like academic side of dance, not only physically dancing, but just learning about dance, and whether it be pedagogy, but not just pedagogy, the history of dance, and staying current with what's happening around our world and our country with dance companies, and just really everything surrounding dance, not just physically dancing. And so I think that's what I'm most excited about with this podcast, is to be able to have these kinds of conversations where, as much as it's super fun to be in a technique class or to be rehearsing, to kind of look at dance from some different lenses.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And that's also how I'm feeling as well. I just think, especially before college, I didn't really know how much dance had to offer. Of course, I loved doing it and I loved watching it. But since I got like, a BFA in dance, I have really discovered just so much more about it. And I hope that with you guys listening, you'll also, realize that there is a lot more than many people know, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's just so much to it. We're hoping to talk about like health, mental and physical health, how the pandemic has really affected us dancers during this time. And I think what's also special about Kristen and I is we have different views, not so much on, dance in general. We both love dance, but she is very focused on ballet right now, where I am diving into a more modern contemporary phase of my training, because I'd like to dance professionally with a modern company, hopefully the Isadora Duncan company one day. So yeah, I think we're gonna just kind of bring it all to you and talk about things that are happening.
I think we're going to be able to complement each other well and try to have a well-rounded conversation, because I'm not here to tell you that this is a ballet podcast, even though I am kind of a little bunhead. But Hannah and I, we come from similar backgrounds, but yet we do have different experiences as well. And it's also not going to be a modern podcast. We're really going to try to bring in different perspectives. And even, I would like to challenge myself to look outside of my own personal experiences and lens in the ballet world, and really look at other genres too, and just dance as a whole. Because like you were saying, Hannah, I think that we both have experienced, like, growing up. I know the same for you, was very supported by my family in my choice to turn dance into a career and not just, a hobby. And so I was really fortunate to have that, and not everyone has that kind of support from family and close friends. But I think that there's always just been a lack of respect and support just from society as a whole. And I think it really stems from just not having a true understanding of what dance really is. I think it's kind of like a naive thing in a way. And so I really hope that we can talk about dance in a way that makes people appreciate it a little bit more, and just kind of see it a little differently. And I think that depends to who our listeners are. I want this podcast to be for everyone. I want it to be for people like us who are trying to navigate our way through the dance world right now and really start our careers, but also, people maybe who did just do dance growing up as a hobby, or continue to do dance as a hobby, or even someone like my mom. Sometimes when I mention dance related things, I've told her, oh yeah, like I listened to a couple dance podcasts on Spotify, and she's like, oh, can you tell me the names of them? My mom doesn't know anything about dance other than what she's learned through me. So I really think that this can be for anyone who's interested, even those with a little less knowledge.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I just think, dance is really for everyone when you think about it. And I know Kristen has also had a lot of experience in high school, bringing dance to, some of the disabled groups, or just, but anyway, like you can bring it anywhere in society and anyone can thrive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, like Hannah said, I have quite a bit of experience, specifically teaching and mentoring individuals with mental and or physical disabilities. So I've worked with people on the autism spectrum, with Down syndrome, people who are physically handicapped. And I've done that honestly, starting from high school, even to more recently, when I was home for Thanksgiving, I helped film a little excerpt, socially distanced and safely, of course, for a young dancer who I worked giving private lessons to over the summer, and the adaptive Nutcracker that I helped out with in high school. They're doing a little virtual version this year where everyone's sending in a little clip. So I helped her film the Clara dance for that. And even over the summer, working as a PCA, I was able to continue to bring dance to people with disabilities. And what I love so much about that is like the accessibility component, because unfortunately, a lot of people just don't have access to dance. They aren't given the opportunity. And to me, that's just really sad and unfortunate. And that comes in many ways. I mean, dance for me, and I think for a lot of us, has been a big financial take on. And so for a lot of people, they might not get into dance because their family can't afford it, or like someone with a disability. I mean, they typically aren't welcomed into a quote unquote normal dance class. And so I think as much as I have loved kind of this like pre-professional professional path that I've gone on, and I love that environment and I want to continue to like work in that type of environment, I also, on the other hand, love the idea and the effort of making dance accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and I just think that's really great and just crucial in society. You know, we need the arts, and we need support from everyone and anyone. So I think, just all that being said, it's just so important that that we do show that dance can be spread to anyone. It doesn't have to be one specific group. And I just think like that's why outreach is so important. You know, bringing it to schools or to those who are not as well off as some other people.
Exposure, that's like a key component of it, like you're saying. I mean, as a kid, like you need that initial spark to, like, you always hear, I feel like, the stories of, you know, a kid going to their first Nutcracker performance or something and being in awe, seeing the dancers, and that's what sparked them wanting to dance. But not every kid is going to be brought to see the Nutcracker by their parents. And so, yeah, like you said, really like bringing dancers into schools or having dance curriculum, honestly, like in public schools. It's really cool. Through my program at NYU, not the specific track I'm on, but another track is getting a K through 12 certification for teaching dance in public schools in New York City. And so some of my classes, we've talked a lot about just kind of what that type of environment is like. And I never grew up with that. Where I live, there is not dance in the public schools. I grew up going to public school. That was not a thing. I think it's just really cool to hear that that is kind of the norm in New York City, that a lot of these kids,
right, and like it doesn't have to be a
offer dance.
Yeah, like
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a performing arts school in order for them to have some sort of dance education, which I think is just so necessary, honestly.
Yeah. And I think by doing that too, like it's all good. You tear off some of those stereotypes too, because, you know, often it's like, oh, well, depending on the genre, I guess I'm speaking a little bit more towards ballet right now, but, you know, like people think men don't dance or all these different things, or it's just girls in little tutus. But when you expose kids to dance from a young age, I feel like it rips off some of those stereotypes, and it just makes it this thing that, oh yeah, like, of course we all dance, right? Like, just like we all go to like gym class or PE, like, yeah, we're going to dance.
Yeah, and movement is just so healing and so important, I feel like, to us as humans. So hopefully, like, by having dance in schools, like Kristen was saying, like, maybe those stereotypes will be gone sooner rather than later if it's becoming more accessible to everyone. That's really
maybe. Yeah, one can really only hope. Yeah. Well, try. We can make an active effort as well. The stereotype.
Yes, as young adults, we're going to really advocate for dance, and especially just because that's what our career paths will be. So, of course, we're going to try to do that. And we hope that this podcast gives you a little bit more of an outlook on what we're kind of experiencing and learning about ourselves as well.
Yeah, I'm just really excited to grow through this process, and I'm honestly just looking forward to seeing where it takes us. I kind of hope that it does evolve over time, you know? So, like I said, ever since I sprung this idea on Hannah, we have kind of been like busily, if that's even a word, busily, not sure. And we have been busy planning and coming up with all kinds of ideas for the upcoming weeks and all of our episodes. But at the same time, as much as I am a planner, and I'm kind of shocked I'm saying this right now, I do hope that we see this just kind of evolve and take its own path. So even if it's not completely what we have in mind right now, I hope that through going with this and possibly getting some feedback from you guys, which we really would love, tell us what you want to hear, tell us what you want us to talk about, and we will do our best to tackle all of those topics. And yeah, we'll just see where this goes, which I think makes it kind of exciting.
It does. And I think there's a quote that it's like when you're trying to plan things, life ends up taking you another way, something like that. I think that's kind of what Kristen's saying. Oh. That's totally not the correct quote, but you get the point. Yeah, we're just gonna go with it, and I'm going to try to reel this one in a little bit, who loves to plan. And don't get me wrong, this planning is great, but I think it's going to be really cool if we can kind of break away from that, like she said, and just kind of see what happens and let it unfold into what it will be. But yeah, I'm just like super excited. Like, Kristen is my absolute best friend forever. And this is just going to be such a fun thing, I think, for us to do together. And we hope you enjoy hearing what we have to say, because it's important to us. And
yeah, we really do. I'm not going to lie too. So I've always had the goal that I want to write a book someday. And sometimes I think about it and I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. But other times I'm like, maybe it could happen. Don't know what it will be about. Don't know when that will happen. Don't know really how to do that. But maybe it will happen someday. But I kind of have thought that this podcast will be my verbal book.
Absolutely be your verbal book.
So I'm not always great with my words. Sometimes, you know, just kind of a lot of stuff comes out and it's not really cohesive, doesn't make sense. But we're gonna try to articulate things. I'm gonna think of this as my own little time capsule, my own little book. So welcome.
Kill two birds with one stone, as they say.
Yeah, I know. On that note, Hannah, this has been fun, but I think, should we wrap things up?
Yeah. All right. Well, this was super fun. Our first episode, we completed it. Woohoo! Thanks for listening. Please check back and listen again to more, because we're going to, like we said, bring it all. Yeah, we just can't wait.
Yeah, guys, we really appreciate. We're going to say we appreciate the support, even though, quite frankly, we don't know if we have the support yet. But really, thank you if you did listen to us, especially if you made it all the way to the end. If you're listening right now and you didn't just skip from like the first 3 minutes to this ending here, like seriously, we appreciate it, and we hope we'll only get better over time too. I promise we're very entertaining people, so please be back and we'll be diving into all things dance. Isn't that right?
Abun dance, let's go.
Abun dance.
Yes.
Everyone, thank you so much. This has been a blast. I'm looking forward.
Yes. Looking forward to it. Ciao for now, people.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Abun Dance. We appreciate your support. We hope to have PK'd your interest. Feel free to contact us at abundancepodcast5678@gmail.com and give us feedback on what you'd like to hear. That is abundance without parentheses. Go dance yourself silly. Bye for now.
A special thank you to our friend Richard DiFiore for our lovely podcast tune, and my wonderful boyfriend, Matt Mellish, for our cover art.